Gentlemen from the state of Nebraska.
That's
John?
right. Mr. Nebraska here, Governor Ben Nelson. Boy, your reaction to this great game.
Well, what an outstanding game, and what a way for Tom to go out and for the team. I don't even think Bo Schembechler can vote Michigan #1 over Nebraska this year.
Amen, Governor. I agree with you.
I was going to say, you're governor. Can you help us out in the polls?
Well, I'm going to do everything I can. I honestly think when you look at the score of this game, #2 beating #3, compared to so-called #1 beating number 8 and barely skipping by. And what about those last 2 seconds?
Right.
I'm just glad that scorekeeper doesn't add up our time, or you and I'd be twice as old as we are.
That's right. Your impressions on the game, I mean, offense and defense, they were excellent tonight.
Well, there's just nothing more they could have done. Obviously, we would like to have had them score a couple more touchdowns in the first half,
right.
But they took advantage of every miscue that Tennessee gave them or that we made them give. And they just did an outstanding game, both on the defensive side and the offensive side of the ball.
I know it's early, but have you talked to Tennessee's governor yet?
No, I haven't. I think he's hiding from me up there. I do have his shirt size. He has to wear Nebraska's shirt. So Monday I'll be sending a shirt off to him by Federal Express. And that's going to get there, and he has to wear it today.
One last quick question. This week I saw a couple signs that said Coach Osborne for governor. How would he do?
He'd do an outstanding job. I do need to talk to him about property taxes, though.
Okay. All right. Governor, thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
John Glenn?
We are here live with Ann Wilkie, Tom Osborne's daughter. And when you think of tonight, what was going through your mind when you saw your dad last 2 or 3 seconds wind up 25 years here at Nebraska?
I guess I just kind of looked at him and just thought, wow, is it really 25 years that's gone by? And the win is just great. And there couldn't be a better game to finish out this 25 years. It's great.
Can you put into words how proud you are of him for taking the heat, for taking the adversity, for taking the wins, taking the losses, and never wavering in his confidence of himself and of the family?
I've admired him so much, especially through the years with the Lawrence Phillips problems and all of the media. I think he just handled himself great and just did what he knew he needed to do deep down in his heart. Just did what Tom Osborne knew he needed to do.
As a family tonight, what will you guys do to celebrate?
Probably the first thing we'll do is go up to my dad's room and give him a big hug and just relax and just celebrate.
On behalf of the state of Nebraska and all the fans here, the 60,000 fans down here, thank you very much for a long and great career, not only for Tom, but for the family as well.
Well, thank you.
You betcha. That was Ann Wilkie, Tom Osborne's daughter. A huge night for the family. They're going to celebrate it in style, by themselves, very quietly, much like Tom Osborne.
Well, absolutely. Her father has meant so much to the people of Nebraska. He could run for governor. He'd win by a landslide. Why? You couldn't run against the guy, right? They love the coach. He's done a marvelous job. He's brought us so much pride. He's given the people so much over the years. And now it's time for Tom to give back to his family.
You bet. If you think about the years he's been here, the consistency, no other program in the country has mastered 9 straight wins over 25 years. The bowl games going back to 1969, the streak of bowl games beating Alabama's streak. The national championships, including this one, will be 3 in the 90s, 5 overall. It's amazing what he's done for this state.
It is absolutely incredible. I mean, you look at all of them across the board, all the powerhouses. Historically, John, you know, Alabama, Michigan, USC, Notre Dame, they've all of them have taken dips at one time or another. Florida, Tennessee, not Nebraska. Consistency, 9 victories, top 10 rankings, top 25 rankings throughout the years. Just absolutely incredible what he's done.
And with Tom Osborne at the helm, he also has more academic All-Americans than any other program in the country, more than Notre Dame, more than USC, more than Stanford. When you think about the success he's had in the field, also the achievements in the classroom, no other program can match this. 60-3 since 1992. An unbelievable stat. If you just stop and think, 60 victories compared to just 3 losses.
John, I'm going to interrupt you for a second here. We do have the coach's wife, Nancy. Nancy, would you please step over here? Your thoughts, Mrs. Osborne, on Tom's final game tonight?
Well, it was a wonderful ending to just a great ride. It couldn't have been better. I loved it.
You were so kind to share, Coach, for all these years. What allowed you to do that?
I didn't have any choice. No, it just happened. You know, we didn't plan it that way. It just happened.
We see Tom, and he's so stoic and so unemotional. Was he sentimental at all before the game tonight? Did he talk to you at all about his final game as he got ready to hit the bus and come over here?
No, not at all. He was very focused. I've hardly talked to him all week. He's just like he is every other week, like before he goes into the game. And so I knew that, you know, it was going to be a good one because they were working very, very hard, and we had a very good opponent. So it just worked out perfectly. I'm very happy.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Osborne, you told us in Lincoln a couple weeks ago that you weren't going to be sad. You had a game to win.
Yes.
What was this week like for you?
Well, that's what it was like. I enjoyed being with all the coaches' wives during the week and their families, like we always have. And we did a lot of, you know, going back over the years and talking about old memories, and just had a really nice time. And I'm still kind of in denial. I don't think I quite believe that this is all happening yet, but it's for the best for Tom, and that's what we both want, you know, for him to have some time where he can not work quite so hard. So
when do you think it's going to sink in?
Maybe tomorrow morning. I don't know. It just seems kind of unreal right now.
So Tom says he has some time on his hands now that he's going to be retired. What do you think he's going to be doing with that extra time?
Well, I think he's looking for something to put his, you know, energies and his abilities into. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's just going to change occupations. And I'm sure we'll have some time to do some, you know, traveling and things together in between the two things. And we don't know what it is, but I think something will come along. So that's what we're looking forward to at this time.
You're going to have him around the house a lot more.
A little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do with him, but I'll have him a little bit.
Do you fish, by the way?
No. I read books.
We know Tom spends so much time on fishing. Through the difficult times, Nancy, what got Tom through those very difficult periods?
Well, I really think that he would say, first of all, his faith, and secondly, just being prepared for things as the best he possibly could be, and you know, being able to look at it objectively and not get sucked into, you know, this is the end of the world if bad things happen.
I've got to ask you one quick question. This will be the last one.
We'll let you go.
We've had fans all this week be very emotional about Tom's leaving. How does that touch you when you see people, they're happy that he's going because he's got his, you know, he's going to have time with you and the rest of the family, but they're really sad to see him go? I mean, how does that touch you?
Well, it's been very touching and kind of overwhelming. I think the reaction to it kind of surprised us both. It's nice to know people care about you like that, and I think they really have, and that's been wonderful.
Thank you for sharing with us.
On behalf of the people of Nebraska, Nancy, thanks so much for sharing time with us.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Enjoy. Nancy Osborne, we have Mike Osborne, Mike's son, or Tom's son. Mike, your thoughts on Dad's final game?
Well, I've known it was coming for a while, and I, like he, was pretty focused on the actual game until the last 5 minutes or so, and then got a little nostalgic, but it was a great way to go out.
What did you think in just the last couple seconds? You watch the clock going down and you know it's an end of an era here.
I don't know. It was a great feeling because it's such a great win, and he's looking forward to moving on to other things, and it's time for him to do that, and you can't ask for a better way to go out.
Mike, what was it like growing up the son of a legend in Nebraska?
Well, a lot of people ask me that, and I don't know anything different, so I can't really compare it to anything. But I'd say is like the child of any person who's really busy, on the road a lot. You don't see him as much as you'd like to, but I'm very proud of the time he's been able to spend with other young men and make an impact that way, an impact in a lot of lives. And if I had to miss a couple bedtime stories here and there, that's fine. I'm just really proud of him.
Let me ask you, all week, we've heard fans just get very emotional about, you know, the coach leaving and that. And how does that touch you when you hear that, you know, people are crying and they see the coach and this is his last game? I mean, how does that make you feel?
Well, that's very nice that people care that much about him, and but he's not dead. He'll still be around. You can still see him every now and then, and it's really a good time for him to do this, and I'm happy for him.
You know, your father won't pick out one particular thing and say, I'm most proud of this or most proud of that. What about you? Is there one particular thing you're proud of most that your father and his teams have accomplished in the last 25 years?
Oh, there's so much. It's hard to say. On the field, unparalleled excellence. Off the field, unparalleled excellence. A lot of times it goes by the media, all the academic All-Americans, and the focus on that. But he's really gone beyond that, and he tries to create in them a spiritual side too. And I think you see that maybe not right after they're gone, but sometimes 10 and 15 years later. And I think that's great.
It's been a great ride, hasn't it?
Yeah, it sure has.
Of course, it wouldn't hurt to get one more national title with the voters tomorrow.
Yeah, if they have any intelligence, they'll do the right thing.
There you go, Mike. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Thanks for sharing Pop for all those years. Boy, what a wonderful family Tom has had. And you see the backbone, his wife, his son, and also Ann. He has another daughter, Susie, and it's just an incredible ride, a fine family. So it's been a great ride. We have Ron Brown with us now. Hey, big man.
Hey, Rich.
Nice win, huh? How you feeling right now, huh?
Great, super. We're just really proud of the players. I mean, man, those guys really played with tremendous focus, intensity, and what could you ask for more?
What did you guys do in the second half differently that really allowed you to take control of the game and open it up?
Well, I'll tell you what happened offensively in the first half. We could see, particularly in the first quarter, their defensive backs really very close to the line of scrimmage, sniffing around there. We had to open things up a little bit with some play-action passes. We got into that double wing set. Not only did we hit some passes, but we were able to run some options with Chevin and Bobby. So that really helped loosen things up. And then, of course, we were able to start to pound them. The kids just physically wore them out. Our defense obviously did a great job getting the ball back for us, not letting long, sustained drives. And we wore their defense out. Just a lot of physical play.
Ron, it looked, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
It looked like they were looking for your outside game, the option game, and you were just pounding up the middle the whole night. I mean, it seems like you guys really surprised them tonight.
We hurt them with some options early on. And anytime you get the ball to the perimeter early on, I think that's going to loosen things up in the middle. We're able to run what we call 43-47 dive, particularly out of a slot set back toward the tight end. And Amon was able to, with his speed, break some things down the field. The kids really did a tremendous job blocking, and it was relentless.
Any emotion tonight out of Coach, you know, before you guys came over here in the locker room or at any time at all?
Well, I knew, and we all knew, that he was sad about this thing, and we knew that it was a very difficult thing for him. And there'll be probably some second thoughts for him as time goes on. He'll debate with the facts versus feelings thing, but I really believe he's doing a good thing for him. I know that he's really prayed it through, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter of his life. I think the Lord's got a great plan for his life, continuing on, and he's done his job as a head football coach, but he's a great man. He's more than just a coach.
Ron, you've got voters out there tonight scratching their heads, hopefully erasing those ballots if they've already filled them out. Any messages? I mean,
yeah,
this team looked good.
There's nothing to scratch their heads about. I mean, it's pretty obvious, I would think. I mean, you know, I can't, Lord willing, we'll win the national championship. It's up to the Lord God and how he inspires those poll writers, but I think the kids really played at the best football that we could imagine them playing, and I don't know that anybody played any better in America all year.
And you know, coaches talked, folks, about the machine just moving on. You plug in another guy, you plug in a Frank Solich, and this is one of the guys right here that allows the machine to move on. Good quality people like Ron Brown.
Just a small cog in it, and I thank the Lord for the opportunity to be here.
You're doing a great job, Ron. We appreciate it, all right?
All right.
Hey, nice win, Coach, huh?
All right.
Thanks so much.
Happy New Year.
You too, Coach. We appreciate it. Well, the coach is right. You know, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You got to give Nebraska half this thing.
Right.
13-0. Full victories. Wins over teams ranked in the top 10. They beat Washington convincingly at home. Unbelievable. Right. You got to give a half to them.
You got to give it to them, and I mean, no excuses. This team, honestly, Scott Frost summed it up. They get Michigan on this field tonight. Even Michigan with a day rest, a week rest, a month rest.
They'll beat
Nebraska is going to roll.
Yeah, let's just go to Ann Arbor, go to Lincoln somewhere, play the game. Hey, let's go to Omaha right now. Lots happening down here, but some things happening in Omaha as well. So let's go up to Omaha.
Okay, guys. Hey, I noticed Grant Wistrom, Jason Peter didn't take a chance on dumping that water. They couldn't wait for the game to end, could they?
No.
All righty, Rich. We'll check back with you in a little bit. As Rich said, there's a big party going on in Miami, but there's also one right here. We take you out live now to 72nd and Dodge. That's the spot when the Huskers win big, and Mary Williams is out there. Mary?
You know what, Loretta, the fans started showing up here, I would say, about the beginning of the fourth quarter. That's when they figure the Huskers had things wrapped up. You can hear them. They are pretty wired tonight. Let's take a look around. Can you see? We've got a good-sized crowd here. I would guess anywhere from 500 to 700 and growing. And I mean growing at a rapid pace. Police have shut off the intersection. There is no way to get to this intersection except on foot. And as I said, they are still arriving here. I don't know where they're parking, but they're here. Now, the crowd has gotten a little rough at at times. They are throwing beer in the crowd, and we have seen glass bottles as well. We are seeing fireworks go off. If you take a look up at this point, woo, we've got things coming our direction too. If you take a look up, there's a gentleman up on the marquee right now, and he's kind of egging the crowd on. There were at one time there were about 6 people up there, and they were leading the crowd in Go Big Red. Police have tried to keep tabs on this crowd, but I got to tell you, I can see a lot of officers, but they are far outnumbered at this point. A big party going on here, mostly young people, but there are a lot of people coming out now, families, young kids, dogs, wearing the Go Big Red colors. They want, at this point, the Huskers to be the national champs. We'll see what happens. But again, take a look at the crowd. We've got some very, very big fireworks going off right now. The police helicopter is overhead. I got to tell you, I don't know how police are going to keep tabs on this crowd, because it is growing rapidly. And like I said, things are getting a little bit out of hand with some of the people here. Loretta, back to you.
Mary, it's looking a little bit like New York City on New Year's Eve or something like that. I think we'll be back to you in the next few minutes. So far, though, everything under control.
So far, everything under control. Again, this seems to be the place to be. Just a few people getting a little rowdy at this point.
I think they've picked a national champion, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
There is another gathering going on right now. Fans all over the state, of course, glued to the game. Now, if you were with our pregame show, Channel 3's Jennifer Wintram was live at one of the biggest gatherings, Nebraska fans at the Convention Center at Harvey's Casino. She's been with these folks for hours now, so she knows them pretty well. And judging from what I see out there, they haven't lost any energy.
Yes, they do, Loretta. I hope you're finished talking. I can't really hear you or not, but we're having our own 72nd and Dodge party here. It's pretty crazy, as you can see. These people have not had enough football here. Let's take a listen here.
We're number one! We're number one! We're number one!
As you can see, we are echoing the statement by Scott Cross, by everybody, all of the players, and everyone saying we deserve that national championship. No one here is going to dispute that whatsoever. I can tell you, though, when Lou Holtz was on, there were several boos, and when Craig James came on, everybody cheered, and that was about it. But, you know, even if we don't get the national championship, people say we deserve to win, but they'll always be number one in their hearts anyway. And I'm going to talk to a couple people here, and obviously, we want to talk to a couple people here, and obviously, everyone here thinks that we should be number one. Can you tell me why?
Because we deserve it, and for Tom Osborne.
Okay. I noticed there were a lot of emotions here as well. I saw some tears in the crowd earlier. What's your feeling here?
We're just real happy that Nebraska did so well tonight.
Were you emotional here when, you know, at the end?
There was a lot of cheering, yes, and a lot of standing up on chairs.
There was a standing ovation here, and as I said, I don't know if you could hear me, when Lou Holtz came on, what did everybody do? But when Craig James came on, I don't think I have to explain that one to you.
All right, Jen, we're just going to put you in touch with all those voters on the polls, I think.
Okay. I think our votes matter.
We'll check back with you a little bit later. Nebraskans obviously of like mind tonight, and we're going to take you back to Miami where there's plenty going on. Guys?
Loretta, we've got one vote that's already in. This one's from Husker Illustrated. Little
there you
windy
go.
here, but there it is. We're number one. This will be the new cover of the magazine. A great salute to Coach Tom Osborne. It says at the bottom, thanks for 25 years, Coach. I don't know if you can sum it up any better than that. We're number one, right?
That's right. I would think so. Again, what can you do? You're 13-0. You've won every game you've had to play. You won a Big 12 championship. You got to be ranked number one. And they booed Lou Holtz. Oh, gee, I wonder why. What was Lou saying before the game?
He was
picking for Tennessee, right? He was picking Tennessee, and of course, Craig James said the Huskers are going to win, and Craig's a smart guy in the bunch. Hey, we heard a little bit of T.O. at the end of the ball game, the press conference at CBSF. We have some more stuff from the coach, little post-game stuff. So let's go to that videotape now and hear some post-game comments from Coach Osborne.
Special. We kept doing things we've been doing. We saw a few things as the second quarter unraveled. I think early in the game, Tennessee did a great job. They really crowded the line of scrimmage. They took some of the things away from us. We hit 3 or 4 passes. Scott threw the ball exceptionally well.
Dump out of that stuff?
Made some great throws, and that kind of got them off our backs. And then we began to get a few things working. And I guess the style of offense we play, it's a little bit of a shell game. You know, they take one thing away, we go to another thing, and pretty soon I think we just got them off balance, and then we wore them down a little bit. And it's a physical style of football. It's just knocking people down, and eventually that takes a toll. And I think as the game went along, it looked like that became a real factor in the ball game. Anything else, Paul?
I know you tried to make this just another game. Any point today, whether it was before the game or during the game, did it really hit you that it is different?
Well, I'm very aware of it. You know, this has been a very difficult week. I would have much preferred to have gone away in the spring. I think an ideal scenario for me would have been to go through recruiting, go through spring ball, and then disappear in May. But you know, the attention has been nice, but it's something I'd really rather not have. And it's been difficult to keep everybody focused on the game. But I think the players did a great job of that. I didn't think it was fair to the recruits if I recruited a bunch of players and then knowing I was going to leave, and so I didn't want to do that. But anyway.
And we're back here at Pro Player Stadium with us, John Glenn once again, and Coach Solich. Coach, great win.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we think it's a great one. We'll take it.
Nice one to go out. A nice one for Coach to go out on, and of course for you to come in on.
Yeah, there's no question. It's a great win for Coach Osborne and the team, and I know they wanted to perform like this in his last game, and so we're real pleased with how it all came out.
John?
Frank, what are your thoughts on this team and also you taking over? A milestone, the baton has been passed to you. What are your thoughts right now as the next and new head coach of University of Nebraska?
Well, we need to get to work on next year. I know that. I'm excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a great nucleus of players coming back. They've got a tremendous work ethic. They're in a program that they believe in one another, and we've got a great coaching staff. And I think when you add that up, we'll be fine, and we're really looking forward to next season and to really get things rolling and continue to roll for Nebraska.
Has this sunk in yet? I mean, this is something big. This isn't just another day for you.
Well, it is big, but yet, you know, I've watched Coach Osborne perform for certainly the 19 years that I've been in the program, and I think I've learned a great deal from him. He's a tremendous man. We've got, like I said, a lot of good players in the system, great coaches, and so we're looking forward to continuing to move the program in the same direction that it's been going.
One of those great players just passed by, Amon. What's his future for, do you think?
Well, I don't know. You know, we're trying to get as much information as we can from the NFL people so that Amon will be able to make a good decision. And he's been patient with that and is certainly looking forward to getting that information. And then he'll just make the decision based on that. And certainly would love to have him back. He's just a great back. He's very unselfish and a tremendous talent, and been a real joy to work with. I'd love to work with him another year, but if it works out the way it could work out for him in terms of where he may possibly get drafted, if it's very high, then I would understand his decision to go if that's what his decision would be.
Frank, that was typical Nebraska. Vintage Husker in the second half. Is that what you guys expected, that you would just wear him down again in the third quarter?
Well, we'd hoped that was going to be the case. You know, they played very strong early, and they were very physical early. We did find a couple sets that really hurt them, and we were able to move the ball continuously and keep our offense on the field, their defense on the field, through using just a couple sets, and then that really wore them down. And I think it got to the point where they were physically tired to where they were not able to really stop much towards the end of the game. So the game plan in that regard worked like we had hoped it would.
The set, the double tight end, the double wings in the backfield, and you're running the counter off that. It doesn't seem like they could stop it.
Well, it's been a set that we've used sparingly throughout the season, and it just happened that we added a few more plays to it for the bowl game, and they seemed to work well. And that set was very good, and also a wide set with one tight end and two wides in the opposite direction seemed to work very well. We saw a few plays that other teams had used against them that ran fairly well, that they had run fairly well, and so we thought we'd have a chance with those two. And as it turned out, as the game went on, we moved the ball very well.
We'll let you get back to the national media, Frank.
Okay.
Frank, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Coach. We appreciate it. Congratulations.
All
right.
Good luck next year, Frank.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, let's bring in number 30.
There we
MVP.
go. Sweet, baby.
Come on. Central High grad. Yeah. We're proud of you. Yeah. What those big hosses do in front of you tonight, huh? They clear some paths for you or what?
Oh, yeah, they opened up the chuck wagon. I mean, them big hogs up front, they did their job. They did what they was recruited for to come here in Nebraska, open us up big holes for the I-backs and the fullbacks and the quarterbacks, and that's what they did all game long.
You're holding this trophy. Hold that thing up.
Yeah, let's see that.
What does this mean to you?
Oh, that means a great deal. You know, I say the offense as a whole didn't get a lot of respect, and myself didn't get a lot of respect, and this just tears that all away. I mean, I got a little respect in this game, and our offense, we just rolled. I got to give my credit to my line. We rolled all game long, more majority in the second half.
When you look at this team, is there anything else you guys could do?
I really don't know. We can run the ball, we can pass the ball. We got a great defense, so I say there's not much flawness there.
Are you number one?
I'm not gonna answer that. That's something out of our
control. Come on, Amon, huh?
That's something out of our control. I mean, we did what we can control, and that was beat Tennessee tonight.
Amon, what about your future now? Are you going to be back running the ball for the Huskers next year, or are you thinking about the NFL? What's the deal?
The deal is I'm gonna give it a couple of days to think about it, and I'll let y'all know Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, and then everybody in the country will know.
What do you think? What's going to be the deciding factor? Do you believe?
I really don't know. I'm going to look at it like I did in college when I was getting recruited in high school, and my decision in college, you know, how I feel about it, how my family feels about it.
I can guarantee you the 20, 30,000 fans here voiced their approval. They want you back next year.
I think so, because, I mean, I did a great job. I mean, my line, I can't say I don't know why I said that. My team and I did a great team out here, did a great game out here, and just give it, just get it out to our fans out here.
Amon, thanks a lot. We've certainly appreciated watching you grow from your years at Central High School now here at Nebraska. And if you do leave us, we wish you all the luck in the world, but hopefully you'll be back with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Amon Green, MVP for the Huskers. What a great game he had. We have Chad Kelsey. Come on in here, Chad.
Get in there, Chad.
Nice game, big guy.
Good job, Chad.
You guys dominated, huh?
It went well. I mean, we thought coming in the game that we could really beat up on them a little bit. Didn't think they'd seen anybody as physical as us, so, I mean, game plan went well.
What were your thoughts about Peyton Manning facing the Heisman Trophy runner-up?
I mean, he's a great quarterback. I mean, probably most credentials coming at you that we've seen all year. So getting to go against a quarterback like that is something that, I mean, everybody on our D-line was looking forward to. And then to get in and get a couple shots on that, I mean, that's nice, too.
Can you describe what the feeling was like when you jumped on top of these guys, especially in the third quarter? You pinned your ears back. What was the feeling like in that D-line?
I mean, it was great. I mean, it makes you think back to the Florida game a little bit. I mean, when I mean, the offense is just rolling. Everything they're doing is just yard after yard. And then when we started shutting them down and getting after them a little bit, it was something that, I mean, it really felt good.
Were they talking? Could you tell they were getting tired?
Yeah, I mean, they're at the end of the second quarter. I mean, that surprised me. I mean, you could already tell that they were getting tired at the end of the second. I mean, and then in the third and fourth, I mean, they were dragging really hard. So they started talking a little bit. They were getting discouraged. So, I mean, we just kept coming after them, and things ended up well.
Here you are, a Nebraska boy. You grow up and you play for Tom Osborne, and you send him off with a victory. What's that mean for Chad Kelsey?
Everything. I mean, you come in to play for a coach like Tom Osborne. I mean, everybody, you got all the hype, the Michigan hype for this game, who should be number one. But, I mean, undoubtedly everybody on this team was playing for Coach Osborne, and the number one goal is to send him out a winner, regardless of what happens in the national championship poll. So, I mean, to send him out a winner, I mean, growing up and watching him coach, I mean, it's going to be a change not to be able to say that he's the head coach anymore.
What about Frank Solich taking over the reins? You're back next year. You've got 8 or 9 starters on defense. You're going to have 6 or 7 on offense. Is Tempe too much to ask?
I don't think so. I mean, that's going to be the goal. I mean, we just got done playing the Orange Bowl this year, and I know there's already guys in there talking about, well, we got to get ready and do the same thing next year. So I don't think we'll miss a step, and I know I'm really looking forward to playing under Coach Solich.
Would you like that Michigan-Nebraska matchup in Tempe next year?
Of course. I mean, it's a shame that it couldn't happen this year with the 2 undefeated teams, but I mean, the way the system is set up, I mean, it just didn't happen. But I mean, we're confident that, and we feel that we are the best team in the nation, and hopefully that'll carry through with some of the voters.
Well, hopefully the voters are going to vote correctly and allow the Huskers to wake up at least with a piece of the national championship. Chad, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, Chad. Good season.
Russia, Chad Kelsey, another big factor in the Huskers championship season. Let's go back up to the Big O and see what's going up there.
All right, Rich, can't believe it. We're already talking about another championship. We'll be back to you in a few minutes.
Okay.
And we still have plenty more people ahead. You haven't heard from everyone. We'll be right back. Well, we've spent lots of time in Miami. Now we want to go back out to 72nd and Dodge. Started out there at about 9 o'clock. There were about 200 people, plenty more out there now. Mary?
Hey, Loretta, you know what? The game may be over in Miami, but the party is just beginning here. It is an open invitation, come one, come all, and they are still coming. I tell you what, if the lights are out at your neighbor's house, they're probably here. And I tell you what, the Huskers are in charge. Take a look at this crowd. They have been screaming nonstop, "Go Big Red," since about 10:30 this evening. There are a lot of people in the crowd, obviously wearing red, some wearing nothing at all. There's one gentleman running around here in his Husker underwear. Earlier this evening, we had some trouble in the crowd with people throwing things, glass bottles, beer bottles, and as you can hear right now, they are Crossroads marquee, but other than that, not a lot of trouble out here tonight. We're seeing some fireworks set off. As you can imagine, they've taken over the street, so there's no coming down 72nd and Dodge. You got to find another way home tonight or stop by the party. I think that's what they're planning on. Loretta?
Mary, it's not midnight yet. It looks like this crowd is going to be hanging out there for some time.
I tell you what, this crowd is fired up. And you know, the funny thing is, Fuddruckers, I don't know if you can see Fuddruckers across the street. They set up a beer garden tonight. Not a lot of people showed up at the beer garden. They're all here in the street. I think they'd rather party in the street. And again, quite a crowd. They have seemed, for the most part, believe it or not, settled down a little bit. That's hard to believe, I know. They are all carrying signs, not all of them, but a lot of them carrying signs saying, "We are the national champs." One guy brought by a sign just a few minutes ago that says, "Do you believe in miracles?" We'll see tomorrow morning.
Okay, Mary, gosh, makes me wonder what the crowd will be like tomorrow at the Devaney Center in Lincoln.
I can only imagine.
Could be something to see. Okay, we'll check back. Now we're going to go back to Miami. We hear Coach Osborne talking all the time about the tremendous coaching staff and the trainers and all the people who have made this happen. Rich and John are with some of those folks right now.
Thanks a lot, Loretta. I'm sorry, John. Team psychologist Jack Stark with us. They're partying in Omaha. Jack, did you, how did you tell the kids to get ready for this one?
Well, we knew that there was going to be a problem if Michigan had won last night, and we stayed in the locker room and watched the game, and we had great elation. We thought they were going to maybe pull it out, and then there was real disappointment. And that's the best word, I think, was disappointment and frustration. So I knew that that could happen, so we prepared a tape, and we went, got on the bus, went right back to the hotel, and immediately went into a team meeting. And in the team meeting, Coach talked about still there's hope. And then we showed a tape, a 10-minute tape. And the tape was a refocus tape, a tape to focus on what are we playing for. And it was dedicated to each of the assistant coaches. And then there was a segment that was very emotional on dedicating the season and this game for Coach Osborne.
And it worked, obviously.
It really got him going. And I'm glad we didn't play last night. It gave us a whole day to think about it. So that really pulled everybody together.
Doctor, this hasn't been just an emotional night. It's been an emotional 10 days for these guys. Wherever they go, they get asked the question from us guys. It's Coach's last game. How did you get them to handle this? I mean, they were very professional this week, and they thought about football.
I was most amazed at Coach Osborne's ability to block out. He's always been a person that could really focus down and would deflect that for the team. And they've always been ones who take on his personality. And they did it with this, and they were able to block that out. But the pregame tape just tonight before we left, and the emotion in the locker room was way high. I mean, they wanted to win this one for their coach. They love their coach. And if you look at every game that we dedicated a game to this coach, you go back and look. Oklahoma this year, we dedicated it. And when we had trouble a couple of years ago at Arizona State, after the Michigan State game, when we had one of our players get in trouble, every time they played for the coach, they blow a team out. And that's how much he means to these players.
We hear a lot, too, about hype. You know, we heard the hype about it was Coach Osborne's last game. It was Peyton Manning's last game. It looked more like Tennessee was the fidgety team early on.
Yeah, we knew they would have some resistance, but we knew that we would wear them down, which has always been our style, the physicalness of our whole program. And sometimes it can take a toll on us. I talked to the team earlier this year about the 9th week is the week that we're most vulnerable, I think, because we get kind of wore down. Once we get that, get our second win, where we can do pretty well. You saw what happened. These coaches, nobody can out-coach them. The second half they came out, we made a few adjustments, and boom, we just kept blowing through them. So the guys were very emotional, but they kept it inside, and they turned it and used it to be able to motivate them.
Jack Stark, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
See you guys later.
Thanks, all right, team psychologist Jack Stark. We've got somebody else here. Bobby Newcomb.
Come on over, big guy.
The pride of Albuquerque.
Bobby, we have a question here for you. We called you a game breaker, a difference maker. What was it like out there tonight? You had the ball in your hands a couple of times. What was it like?
Well, I was trying everything I could to try and get it in the end zone, especially a couple of times when I had it down close, but this didn't come out.
When you look at this team, how dominant were you guys tonight taking on the Volunteers?
The first half we came out, we tried to punish them, wear them down a little bit and then take over in the second half, and that's what we did.
Bobby, now you told me before the game that you'll play wherever you feel the coach thinks you're needed. Now next year, be honest with us now, where do you think you should play? What position you want to play? You want to be behind the center?
I like to just be on the field. If it's at receiver, I like to be out on the field anywhere.
I see he's being diplomatic again.
Very diplomatic. Okay, let me ask you this. Where will you start out the spring?
Wow, you're just jumping into the questions. I'll probably start out the spring at either quarterback or wingback. Probably quarterback.
You heard it here first, folks.
And it seems like, Bobby, it seems like you have an extra step. John says it seems like you got an afterburner. Another gear, man. You really turn it up. Do you feel that way, too, sometimes?
Yeah, a lot of times, especially on those reverses, I seem to be waiting a little bit and then finally trying to turn it on at the last second. And, you know, I'm just waiting for my opportunity to turn it on real well.
Did you ever imagine it would be like this coming from Albuquerque, your first year here, playing in basically a national title game in front of all these fans, going 13-0?
Well, this is Nebraska, you know, this happens quite a bit, and, you know, it's just a great experience, and I had a hunch that we'd be in a, you know, big-time game like this, but I didn't think I had no imagination that it'd be like this.
What kind of experience does this give you, being in the huddle this year? What kind of experience does that bring you next year in the huddle?
Oh, that just brings me a lot of game experience. I was calling the plays to Scott Frost, and he was calling to the offensive line, so I was basically playing quarterback at wingback. You know, I was learning all the audibles and the blocking schemes and all that kind of stuff. I was just playing different positions.
We were talking a second ago. You can't get hit any harder returning a punt than you can strung out in the option.
Yeah, I got a few hits, especially against Iowa State this year, and then, you know, this game I got hit a few times, and the blocking and a lot of things that you do at wingback, you get pounded pretty good.
Bobby, I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bobby, thanks a lot. We certainly appreciate you sticking around and talking with us. It's been a great ride this year, and hopefully see more of you next year, no matter whatever position it might be, wingback, quarterback, wherever.
Just on the field.
That's right, just on the field.
Thanks,
Okay, Bobby, thanks a lot.
Next year.
We'll have more coverage. Operation Orange Bowl continues. We'll have more right after this.
We've got a huge crowd celebrating championship game, winning the Orange Bowl, and apparently now some commotion out there. Mary Williams joins us live. Mary, what's going on?
Tell you what, it's a little hard to hear you, Loretta, but I can tell you they're celebrating a little too much out here. I believe we have some tape we could show you. There are two rescue squads out here right now. We don't have that tape. Let me tell you what happened. We have two rescue squads out here right now. Just a few minutes ago, one of them was called in to help a gentleman who was hit in the head. There we go. Who was hit in the head with a beer bottle. Now, he was not severely injured, but I've got to tell you, the crowd is, again, pretty wired out here. They are throwing beer bottles, and a lot of them are glass bottles. To tell you how crazy it is, we are on top of our live truck. We had to move up here to get out of the crowd, and they are shaking our truck. It is that crazy out here. The horse patrol is just down here at the Crossroads parking lot. We've got 4 people on horseback. We've got patrol cars all over the place, but it's kind of hard for them to move into the crowd because, as you can see, it is a very, very good-sized crowd. I can't begin to tell you how many people are out here. I would say well over 1,000. Please get down. Like I said, now they're climbing on our live truck, and it's a little crazy out here right now. And like I said, well over 1,000 people, and they're still coming. Again, I don't know where they're parking or where they're coming from, but they are still coming. We will keep you updated as things, like I said, get a little crazier out here.
Okay, Mary, looks like police are really in no position to even try to send people home.
You know, it's really a tough job. They are far outnumbered. I think it is safe to say there are more than a dozen patrol cars out here. We have the police helicopter overhead, and still they have no real control out here.
Okay, some safety concerns. We'll check back with you and see how things are going. All right, Mary, thanks very much. And now we're going to go back live to Miami and see what's happening down on the field. Guys?
Yeah, thanks a lot. With us now, tight end Sheldon Jackson, number 88. Big game tonight. Did you expect to have as many balls thrown to you as were thrown to you tonight?
No, not at all. I was surprised, as a matter of fact, in the first half when Coach Osborne putting the ball in there as much as he was. But they were crowding the box. They were crowding the line of scrimmage, like 9, 10 guys at one time. So they were daring to pretty much throw the ball. And so Coach Osborne threw the ball, and we made some plays with him.
And you're not known as a passing team. Obviously, everybody thinks run, run, run. When we talk Nebraska, that's the way Nebraska makes its bread and butter offensively. But when they throw the ball, when you know you're going to be throwing, you get a little cranked up a little bit more as opposed to going out there and having to block them.
Well, I can't get too cranked up because if I get too cranked up, then the ball is not going to get caught. So I think what we want to do today as a receiving corps is to show the country that even though we don't throw the ball as much as Tennessee does, but we are still efficient when we do throw the ball. Like you said, we're going to run the ball. First and foremost, we're going to establish a run. And if we don't establish a run, then we're going to try and throw. And if we throw and we're successful as we were today, we're going to continue to do so until we can establish a running game.
John?
Sheldon, when you talk about that drive, the third drive where you came out and you threw, there were 9 guys in the box. How important a statement was that to be successful on that drive and go down and put in the end zone?
It was very important. I mean, like I said, we had to show Tennessee that, look, if you're going to try and stop the run, it's not going to last very long once you stop the run. But when you do, we can throw the ball on you. So you got to play honest with us. I mean, we are Nebraska. We know we're going to run the ball and get our 400 yards on you. Understand that we can throw the ball and get at least 150 and 200 yards on you as well.
Did you notice a change in their defense, not only in their formation, but also their attitude after you did that?
No, not really. I mean, they loosened up a little bit, but I still found myself and the other tight ends still found themselves getting open and down the middle of the field, too. So I don't think they really changed too much. They tried, but as you can tell, it wasn't successful.
13-0. What more can you guys do? Obviously, where do you think you should be ranked?
Number one. I take nothing against Michigan. I think Michigan's a great team. I think they play as good as they possibly can. But I think we've proven tonight against number 3 ranked team in the country that we should be at least have a share. If not the share, then have the whole thing, because we got in Tennessee's cheeks today.
Sheldon, when Washington State lost yesterday, was there great disappointment in the Husker camp? I mean, was it difficult to get refocused after that?
It was a lot of disappointment because we watched the game after practice yesterday in the locker room. It was obvious. A lot of guys had their heads down. A lot of guys thought that it was all over. There was no way for us to win the national championship this year. But Coach Osborne, I think, did a good job of reassuring the team that it was going to hurt Tennessee more if Michigan won the game than it would hurt us. That we had a chance because we were undefeated to still get at least a piece of the title. And so with that in mind, we came out today and just said, look, we'll just play balls out. And if we do what we do, play Nebraska football like we know we can do, execute like we normally do, that we should convince somebody, some voter somewhere, some coach somewhere, that we are entitled to some of this title.
Hopefully some intelligent guys will vote the Huskers number 1. What do you think, John?
I hope some of the polls actually watch the games, they'll just watch the score of the game and see just how dominant we were today.
Next year, you've got a brand new coach, head coach Solich. It's kind of interesting to say, head coach Solich.
It is.
You've got a lot of starters coming back on defense. You've got 8 or 9. You've got 6 or 7 back on offense. You've got a couple of freshman quarterbacks. One's going to be a sophomore coming up.
Right.
What's up next year?
I'm hoping to have the same success next year that we had this year. I mean, it's too early to tell. I mean, it's January. We still got spring ball, winter conditioning, summer conditioning. I'll let you know next August how I feel about the whole situation. Right now, it's too early to tell. I mean, things haven't panned out. Things haven't gelled yet. So just give it some time, and I'll let you know then.
Do you dare think Tempe?
No, it's too early to tell. Like I said, it's too early to tell. There's too many great teams out there. We got a hell of a schedule coming up next season. So, I mean, it would be arrogant and ignorant on my part to say something like that. That I say, well, we'll be in Tempe next year. That would not be right. And that would show a lack of respect for my fellow opponents in the Big 12 conference. So I couldn't say that right now.
Sheldon Jackson, thanks so much. We appreciate your time. Great game. Nice year, huh? 13-0. All right.
Nice
lid. Better than
nice
that.
lid.
We like that, yeah.
I'd rather wear this one than this one.
All right.
You go. Thanks,
all right, you too. Sheldon Jackson, Husker tight end, had a marvelous game and a major cog in the Husker offensive wheel.
You bet. He talked about that schedule next year. It's going to be brutal.
Right.
Out in California, tough. They've got Washington at home. You've got a good Kansas State team, a good Missouri team, Texas A&M, Texas, Colorado. It's going to be a brutal schedule next year for head coach Solich.
Okay, let's go back up to Omaha, see what's going on up there, guys.
Hey, Rich, John, you listen to these guys, you get the impression that they will be talking about this game for 48 hours straight, and it still won't be out of their system.
Yeah, maybe even a little longer than that.
You bet. All right, we'll get back to you in a little bit, and we'll be right back. Plenty more still ahead. The crowd is getting bigger out at 72nd and Dodge. We've got thousands of people out there, along with our own Mary Williams. Everything somewhat under control out there?
You know, I think at this point the police are hoping the crowd gets tired and goes home. Fat chance. I can tell you they're coming from all directions. We have lost count on how many people are here. Can you pan off and take a look? They're all wearing their Husker red. They're carrying flags. A lot of people have their bumper stickers saying, "Thanks a lot, Tom Osborne." There are some people in the crowd not wearing clothes at all. Actually, very little. The Horse Patrol is here. We have more than a dozen cruisers here trying to keep order. But I'll tell you what, again, as I've mentioned all night long, the police here are far outnumbered. They're stationed on the street corners, just trying to keep an eye on things and make sure things don't get too far out of control. People are throwing beer bottles. They are throwing glass bottles, and that seems to be a problem out here. We've had one gentleman who was hit on the head a little bit ago. He is okay, suffered a minor injury. So the crowd, for the most part, all things considered, doing pretty good tonight.
All right, Mary, they're just trying to decide this national championship picture, I would say. All righty, and I think we're going to go back to Miami right now and find out what's going on down there. Guys?
Thanks a lot. We have Josh Heskew with us. Josh, great win.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, we definitely did what we wanted to do. We came out in this ball game, and we wanted to run the ball and get over 400 yards, and you know, we did it. I mean, and that's something as offensive linemen we definitely take pride in, and we're just glad to go out winners like we did.
What was the difference first half to second half? You guys came out double tight, double wing, and just ran it right down their throats.
Well, we noticed they were getting tired towards the second half, you know, and coming out the third, you know, or second quarter. But third quarter when we came back out, you know, we ran a couple plays and they were tired. When we see that, that's when the animal comes out in us. When we had fun, just pound the ball at them. You know, when you're running dice for 8 yards a pop, I mean, you just keep doing it. You know,
last game for Coach T.O. What are your thoughts?
You know, sorrow, little sorrow, and but you know, we're just great that he came out a winner.
Hey, Josh, I don't mean to laugh, but they're saying, bye, Josh, we love you. You're going to miss your ride. You better go. Thanks a lot, big guy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Josh.
Great year, 13-0. And I believe we have some Peyton Manning tape, John. I think we want to cue that up now. The Heisman Trophy runner-up in his final game here, going out a loser with the loss here to the Huskers. So let's hear some post-game comments from Peyton Manning.
Well, like I've always said, I think I always take maybe sometime next week or this month or this spring, sit down and reflect on my career here. But right now I'm disappointed. There's no question about it. You hate to lose, no matter what the situation is. But like I said, this can't overshadow the good things our seniors have done this year. Good thing this team.
All right, that was Peyton Manning.
Yes, it was.
This is live TV, too, and sometimes that kind of stuff happens. That was Peyton Manning talking about his final game. Of course, Peyton, John, you pointed out, great observation early as you were watching him warm up. He just didn't have it as he tried to backpedal and plan. He didn't have it at all.
His back foot was very, very gingerly. He'd put his foot down and he'd kind of hop, and you cannot throw effectively, especially deep, off of your front foot. You've got to plant and then put your weight forward. If you can't plant, you don't have the oomph to throw it deep.
That's right. And as you noticed in that first half, boy, he was throwing a lot of short passes. Didn't try to go upfield at all.
Even the short passes were short. He was hitting outs very, very low, very, very soft. And when you're doing that against a Nebraska defense that's this fast, you're not going to have much success.
And we have more stuff going on in Omaha. They're partying and having a wacko time up there. Let's go back to the Big O and see what's going on.
Wacko would be the understatement.
Okay.
Especially out at 72nd and Dodge. We have plenty more still ahead. We'll be right back. Operation Orange Bowl continues tonight. We're going to take you live out to 72nd and Dodge. It's the traditional spot. Now, we've had big crowds out there before, but Mary, nothing like what we're seeing right now.
This is a very big one. You know, we just found out police are figuring at this point there are 7,500 people down there. That's why we're up here. I got to tell you, if there's 7,500 people in this crowd, for the most part, they are pretty well behaved. We've seen some fireworks going off tonight. A lot of people thinking we should be the national champs here, and they have passed these out in the crowd. I don't know if you can get a shot of this. These are little bumper stickers that say, "Thanks, Tom." It kind of sums it all up. Loretta?
Okay, Mary, and we can see those flags flying behind you. That's quite the scene. And we'll check back with you possibly a little bit later. Right now,
It really is.
We also want to tell you about the other party that'll be starting tomorrow. We expect the team to come back to Lincoln on a flight scheduled to arrive shortly before 3 o'clock tomorrow. Now, the airport is asking that fans not come out to the terminal. The team will be going straight to the Devaney celebration. Now, we'll be there to bring it all to you live tomorrow afternoon. You can join Deb Ward, John Glenn, Mary Williams, and me for complete coverage of all the festivities, as Nebraska fans will get a final chance to cheer on Coach Osborne. And now we'll go back to Miami, where there's been a lot of talk about Coach Osborne. And, you know, the coach has a way, guys, of kind of slipping out quietly, doesn't he?
That's T.O. for you. You know, that's exactly the way he is. Hey, let's remind you, 42-17 was the final score. That was a good old whooping on the Volunteers, wasn't it?
As they used to say in the old days, took them out to the shed and taught them a big-time lesson. A lot of folks down here are saying, hey, they're chanting ACC, ACC. Well, the big folks from the north came down here to the south and really took care of that Southern myth. The Southern teams are better, faster. They ran into a team not only that was very, very strong, but also very, very fast. Tennessee all week kept saying, well, Nebraska's strong, but our speed is going to counter that. Well, Nebraska's speed on defense, this isn't an ordinary defense, and it hasn't been the past 4 or 5 years. You win with defense. Nebraska did that tonight.
John? You hit it on the head there, because all week we heard both teams have very good defenses. Nebraska made Tennessee look like they didn't have a very good defense tonight because they pounded them in the middle. They looked like they were looking for the option game tonight. It wasn't there. When you go up the middle, you don't need the option game all that much.
Nebraska, their game plan coming in was to try to counter Tennessee's speed by doing a lot of cutbacks, by doing what they call flow blocking. The fullback goes one direction, then cuts back after the offensive line has cleared out a path. With Joel Makovic Nebraska down the first quarter, that kind of changed Nebraska's game plan a bit. As you saw, when they had 9 guys in the box, Huskers came out and threw. And when you can throw effectively, all of a sudden Tennessee backs up, and then Nebraska's game plan starts to work the second and third quarter. You could see Tennessee down on one knees in timeouts. It isn't that hot here. It's not even that humid tonight, and Tennessee was wore down by the middle of the third quarter.
You know, another thing I wonder about, too, is regarding Scott Frost. Great game tonight. All week, he's had to hear about Peyton Manning and how great of a quarterback. And Peyton Manning is a great quarterback. He had a bum knee going into this game. Let's give him his dues. But Scott Frost tonight took this as a mission, and he showed what he can do.
He's one of those guys that if you give him a challenge, he's going to respond every single time. He's gutsy. He's got one of those attitudes. He's got a chip on his shoulder saying, hey, you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it, regardless if it's grass, if it's turf, good defense, bad defense. I can't throw. I think I saw him throw pretty doggone well tonight.
Yeah, they challenged him to throw, and obviously Scott was up to the challenge. The Huskers, John, you know, we've talked about this before. They lost that Citrus Bowl to Georgia Tech back, I believe, in 1990. They were beat. And, boy, since then, this has been a very different program, hasn't it? I mean, they've gone out. They've certainly changed their attitude defensively with the type of athlete they've recruited. And we've seen it in all the success they've had since that game.
The speed they have on defense is unbelievable. Kevin Steele came in here. In fact, Kevin was in the locker room congratulating all the coaches. When you've got that much speed on the outside, when you've got man-to-man guys in the corners that can stabilize the corner, you can blitz more. It allows you to do so much more defensively, put so much more pressure on the opposing team. When you do that, it allows you to really, really be aggressive and pin your ears back and go. Chad Kelsey mentioned that. When this team can go and go after a quarterback, that quarterback's going to be on his keister all night long. Peyton Manning had a lot of grass stains on his rump.
42-17, the final score again. The Huskers win, finish 13-0 in the season, and hopefully the voters out there are going to wake up and do the right thing tomorrow morning and give Nebraska a chunk of that national championship. Let's go back to the Big O and see what's going on. Loretta?
All right, and we'll talk a little bit more about that national championship picture when we come back. We'll be right back. Well, the Huskers got the job done tonight in Miami. My guess is, I think we even heard, they're probably on the bus and on their way to their own party, aren't they?
They're partying somewhere, I'm sure. Wouldn't you think so, John?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, Miami all week has been Husker red, and tonight's going to be no exception. It's incredible.
With a night game like this, the fans have had a chance to party since about 9 o'clock this morning. They were primed for this game. This was a loud field.
They've been going since New Year's Eve here. I mean, we can't keep up with Husker fans down here.
John, you had an interesting comment about the Tennessee fans that I'd like you to share with the fans.
Yeah, I had the chance to go to the big tailgating party that was here today. And first of all, during the week, Tennessee fans came up to me on 3 occasions and said, please take it easy on us Friday night. But I just thought it was classy that a couple times today fans came up to me and said, hey, if the Volunteers can't win tonight, we're going to be happy for Coach Osborne. And I think that's just very classy. You know, this game was, you know, a 25-point game or so. Towards the end, they were still having a good time. Some of the fans left for Tennessee, but they were here through the end. And I think that was just a credit to them that, you know, they know Coach Osborne and what he's done for college football. And to make a statement like that, win or lose for their team, is credit to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach Osborne, certainly a classy man, and we lose a classy coach in Coach Osborne as he steps down after this game tonight. Now, we have some more post-game. You've heard from a lot of the players. We have some more stuff, and we're going to listen, I believe, to Aaron Taylor and Scott Frost. Some more comments from those guys, so let's go to the videotape now.
This is a great feeling. I'll tell you what, we came out here and did what we wanted with the ball, and we approached this game as every other game, and we got a victory for Coach Osborne, and there's no better moment than this right now.
Here's a really stupid question. You guys deserve a part of the national championship?
I definitely do. We came out here and did what we wanted to on their defense, and I'll tell you what, if we don't get a part, it's a disgrace to Coach Osborne and Nebraska.
I don't think there's any question.
If you watch this team tonight perform, if a coach's job was on the line, would that coach rather play Michigan or Nebraska? I don't think it's even close.
What was it like the halftime today? Because you came out and really dominated that third quarter.
Well, we knew we were wearing them down, and I made a bad play right at the end of the first half, and we'd have been ahead more going in. But, you know, we came out and played Nebraska football. That's what it's all about.
How much would you beat Michigan by, do you think?
I don't know how much we beat Michigan by. I'm not...
Once again, the Huskers with a 42-17 victory over Tennessee. And guys, I don't know what more we can say about the way they played tonight, about the way they played all season long. They looked adversity square in the face, and they were able to get the job done. Big victory down in Missouri. You were at that game, Johnny.
I can remember the feeling when Missouri scored and Nebraska had, what, 50-some seconds to go back down the field. The audience was hushed, but there was never, ever, ever anyone leaving. Nebraska got the first down. They had the pass to the other side to Davis in the corner. Nebraska scores the touchdown to tie the game up. The place went absolutely nuts. Nebraska comes back, holds Missouri on the overtime, then goes and scores. I mean, what more can you ask a team to do? People say, well, that was the difference between Michigan and Nebraska being number 1, Michigan number 1, Nebraska number 2. If you can win on the road in a hostile environment against an opponent that doesn't get much respect, that has a huge amount of enthusiasm, what more can you ask of a team? 13-0, what more can you ask of a program to do that? 60-3 since 1993 season. What more can you ask? Unbelievable program.
Let me ask you guys. You guys have covered the Huskers every day through this season, even before the season started. What was it in your eyes that made this team so special?
I think the one attribute this team was lack of respect. The same attribute the 1994 team used. They felt they were maligned in the national media. They opened up the season with the ranked 5th or 6th going in. They felt they should have been ranked much higher than that. Scott Frost uses that edge he had, that chip on his shoulder, to constantly outperform his critics. And when you've got a quarterback that's gutsy, that will throw his body on the line, you've got an offensive line which was also maligned from last year.
Right.
Arizona State game, everybody said the pipeline is done. No longer is Nebraska dominant up front. Hey, these guys took that very, very seriously. Last year in the Orange Bowl game, we talked about that a lot. They rededicated themselves. Josh Heskew started at center, then Aaron Taylor back to guard. That was a huge key for this team. This offensive line, I think, is one of the best I've seen. It ranks up there with 83, 84, 94, 95. Now you're talking about 94 or 96, 97. This group of offensive linemen may be one of the best in Husker history, and it starts there.
I think one of the big keys has been just the fact that the tradition that has been reestablished by the 94 championship team, then the one in 95 that won out at the Fiesta Bowl. This team, this program, they expect to win. It's been handed down, and you learn winning, and it's been learned with these guys. These guys just come out here and expect to win.
Right, and if you have a loss, it's a shock. You don't expect to lose. You expect to win every single week, and that helps you every single week prepare like a champion.
All right, let's get back up to Omaha, see what's going up in the Big O. Loretta?
Hey, Rich, you know, I see the three of you guys standing down there in the field, and it reminds me of the Fiesta Bowl. All the build up to the game, and then suddenly you're all standing there in an empty stadium. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's all over, and we were looking forward to this time, I think, so weren't we, guys?
We just lost our signal from Miami. We'll get back to the guys a little bit later. You know, there are some things that you need to see more than one time, and right now we want to see Coach Osborne as he has that magic moment just minutes after the game when he was handed the Orange Bowl trophy. Let's take a look.
In the crowd for none other than Tom Osborne, who has just coached his very last game. But without further ado, let's turn it over to Leslie Pantene, president of the Orange Bowl, to present the Orange Bowl trophy.
On behalf of the Orange Bowl committee and all the people in Miami, congratulations to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and especially to Dr. Tom Osborne. Thank you very much.
Also here, Commissioner of the Big 12 Conference, Steve Hatchell, to present the Alliance Trophy. Steve?
Thank you, Michelle. On behalf of all of the conferences and teams in the Bowl Alliance, we'd like to present this trophy to you, Tom, for not only an outstanding season, but to a great career. We want to congratulate the University of Tennessee for a wonderful football season, and to the Southeast Conference for all of the great things they did in football this year. And in presenting this, Tom, I think the best part is that maybe tomorrow there'll be another trophy you can get as well. Congratulations.
You want to hand it to somebody, Steve?
Coach, congratulations. A decisive win, to say the least, and given that and all of the other circumstances, what are your thoughts tonight on the national championship picture?
Well, I'm very proud of our team. I think we did all we could. We won 13, and that's all we played. And so I'm very proud of these guys. I thought they played a great
game. This is the last game for you. In 25 years at Nebraska, you've coached your last game. How much of that has sunk in so far?
Well, it's a kind of a bittersweet moment. Very proud of the players. Have great appreciation for our coaching staff. Most of what's happened has been due to their efforts and the players. We have great fans. I want to thank them for being here. So it's a great night for Nebraska.
Coach, congratulations.
Thanks, Michelle.
I'm joined now by Scott Frost, the quarterback of tonight's winning Nebraska Huskers. What a game. Just describe the feeling at this point and also your thoughts on the national championship picture.
Well, it feels great. I'm so proud of this team, and I'm just so proud to have had a chance to play for Coach Osborne. And I just want to say this about the national championship. You know, if all the pollsters honestly think, after watching the Rose Bowl and watching the Orange Bowl, that Michigan could beat Nebraska, go ahead and vote Michigan by all means. But let me finish. I don't think there's anybody out there that with a clear conscience can say that Nebraska, and especially Tom Osborne, that great man, doesn't deserve a national championship for this. At least a share.
Scott Frost challenging those voters. Now, if you'd like to see this Orange Bowl victory and Coach Osborne's final win, you will be able to do it again right here on Channel 3. We will rebroadcast the game in its entirety. That is a week from Saturday, January 10th, right after Channel 3 News Nightside. That'll start at 10:35. And judging from the crowds out at 72nd and Dodge, some of those people might have missed the end of the game anyway. We'll check in now with Mary Williams. They'll need to watch that game again, I think, Mary.
Loretta, it is very hard to hear you out here. I can tell you we do have an injury to report. It seems a crowd was passing someone overhead. That person fell and injured his back. This person was taken out on a stretcher to the hospital, taken by ambulance to the hospital. We don't know the extent of his injuries. I can tell you right now that it is pretty crazy. You know what? Hey, you know what? We're having some problems here. We're going to end up on the ground with these fans if we continue to have the fans jumping up on the truck. It's very crazy. I'm sitting down right now because it is not safe to stand up here. We have a ton of people. We thought some of them were going home, but apparently not. Very, very crazy situation out here. We'll throw it back to you for our own safety.
Hey, Mary, a good idea. And, of course, we'll keep you posted if anything else should happen out there. But right now, we're going to let our crew take a break and get reoriented. Right now, we're going to go back to Miami, where they're kind of winding things down there, aren't they?
Yeah, it is very quiet here now. We're pretty soon they might turn the lights out on us, but very wild scene in Omaha, and hopefully everything's going to be all right there. You know, a great game here. I mean, we've used almost every adjective to describe this one tonight.
When you look at this team, you asked me a second ago what was one of the differences in this team. Also, you have to look at the leadership of two guys up front in the defensive line, Grant Wistrom and Jason Peter, two guys that took it upon themselves in summer conditioning to make the younger guys work, and not just work, bleed in the summer. It's the work in the summer that produces a championship team like this one here tonight. We hear from Jason Peter, one of those leaders, about this year's team.
During the game, and what are you thinking?
Yeah, you know, every time we were out there on the field, we knew what we were playing for. Coach Osborne, the way I saw him today, I mean, I've never seen him more fired up on the sidelines. When he came over to the defense one time and he got in our faces and he told us what we had to do, and right then, you know, we knew that this man wanted it more than anything, and there was no way that we were going to let him down. And, you know, we just offensively, we just pounded it down their throat, and defensively, you know, we shut them up pretty good. You know, I think we definitely made a pretty good statement for our claim for a national title.
Pounded it down their throat. That's exactly what the Huskers did in beating Tennessee tonight. Let's take a look at the highlights, relive the action one more time here from Pro Player Stadium. The Huskers wrapping up a perfect season, finishing 13-0 with a victory over the Volunteers. In Tom Osborne's final game, Peyton Manning's final game as well. Early, it was Tenneesse
for Nebraska
with a long punt. 78 yards. What a kick this cat got. Look at that thing go. 78 yards, down on the 2-yard line. John, he got all of that one, didn't he? Okay, Tennessee trying to drive after the Huskers were stalled. Peyton Manning finds McCullough open for 18 yards, put the ball on the 31-yard line of the Huskers.
This is what
a few plays later, it's first down.
Pitch to Lewis. Bryson leading the way.
Jamal Lewis fumbles. And it's picked up. Ralph Brown with a hit. Mike Rucker recovers
drive over, Huskers take over.
They're doing effectively.
Turnover's a big problem for Tennessee in the first half. Huskers get going. We showed you Sheldon Jackson. We talked to Sheldon Jackson. He catches this pass for 26 yards, puts it on a Tennessee 47. Later in the drive, it's Frost going to Bobby Newcomb for 22 yards.
Game coach.
Put it on the 13.
Up and over and in for a touchdown.
A few plays later, Amon Green gets the touchdown. That capped off a 78-yard, 8-play drive. Huskers took the 7-0 lead.
Manning. That pass
still in the first quarter. Manning picked off. Eric Warfield with the INT.
At the 30. And tackled
a 28-yard return.
At the 25-yard line by Sean Bryson.
Jesse Cush with the punt for the Huskers. As that drive ended, it was recovered on the punt by Lance Brown of the Huskers.
Jesse hangs it up high.
And that set up the Huskers in position.
And a touchdown for
on the 15.
This year behind Ricky Williams.
A few plays later, Shevin Wiggins with a touchdown.
Shevin Wiggins again inside.
As Nebraska went 15 yards in 3 plays to make it 14-0, 11:28 to go. Tennessee added a field goal before the end of the first half. It was 14-3 at halftime.
Just a little roll play to the fullback. He finds the seam.
Second half, Joel McAvick
breaks a tackle, spins out, and then drags.
Gets a call. Look at a big boy from.
Agreed with the decision.
From Brainerd, right? Brainerd, Nebraska. It's East Butler, right? McAvick goes for 24 yards.
Never mind the passes of the play action.
Knocking these guys off 3 or 4 yards back in the last frame.
Scott Frost gets the touchdown. Huskers go 80 yards, 12 plays, 21-3, 10-11 to go in the third quarter.
And he could not. 8 or 70 of them are going to be run.
Nebraska would capitalize again. Amon Green going 43 yards. Well, first we're going to get the Frost touchdown. There's a Frost touchdown. 80 yards, 12 plays. Green goes 43 yards.
Manning.
And then Frost gets another touchdown.
In the end zone. Running out of time. Throws. Touchdown!
Tennessee comes back. Manning to Price with a touchdown. It's 28-9. 72 yards, 9 plays. Nebraska then would put it away. Amon Green rumbles 47 yards.
Frost hands off.
Hopefully Amon's coming back. We want to keep him in Nebraska for one more year.
40.
One more season.
And 47 yards for Amon. And then the touchdown as he goes 22 yards. That caps an 80-yard, 4-play drive. 80 yards in 4 plays, 35-9 Huskers.
Michigan certainly has a top-ranked defense.
Nebraska added another touchdown by Scott Frost to make it 42-9. Tennessee got one late. As T. Martin drove him down, the celebration was on. Huskers get the victory, 42-17 over the Tennessee Volunteers. As Tom Osborne wrapped up his career with yet another victory in a perfect season, 13-0.
We got some other important numbers. How about 255, 49, and 3?
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
He also reestablished himself as the winningest active, now inactive coach in college football. Coach Fulmer had the percentage by about 0.2%. Now Coach Osborne got it back when he won tonight, but then since he retired, he's no longer active. So, but a tremendous. You look at those highlights. I mean, 80-yard drive, 80-yard drive, 75-yard drive. Wow. This is against the number 3 team in the country, folks. This wasn't against the 10th team or the 12th team, the 19th. This is against the number 3 team in the country, basically on their home turf down here in the South. Nebraska right now, the Orange Bowl. This is a magic place. The last 2 times Nebraska's played here, national championships, including this year. Let's hope the coaches get smart and vote this Tom Osborne coach team at least to share the title tomorrow.
42-17, a laugher, an easy one for the Huskers. At least we can say that from our vantage point.
You said it was a laugher, though, but when I was over in the locker room, I saw the Tennessee Volunteers loading up on their bus. They are worn out. I mean, they don't know what hit them. I mean, it's almost like this red hurricane came through here. They are drained, really tired. I mean, they lost a lot during this game tonight.
Back to the Big O and Loretta Carroll, Mary Williams. Hopefully everything's going okay up there. Guys, what's up?
Hey, I got to tell you, while you guys are thoughtful and philosophical, too bad you can't see what's going on at 72nd and Dodge, because it's just nuts down there.
Tape it for us. Let us see it afterwards, okay?
We'll do that. Right now, we'll check in with Mary Williams and find out how things are going out there right now. Omaha police did have a plan for crowd control out there tonight. However, I do think they got much more of a crowd than they anticipated. We'll check in now with Mary and see what's happening. Mary?
Loretta, I can honestly say I wish you were here. I tell you what, the Omaha Police Department, I think you're right, had no idea that there were going to be so many people out here. At last count, they figured 7,500 people. This crowd has been going strong now for at least 2 hours, and there are no real signs of letting up. They have been passing red Christmas trees through the crowd. They have been passing each other through the crowd. We had an injury because someone fell on the pavement. We've also had some injuries from people being hit with beer bottles. There are fireworks going off. We still have the police helicopter overhead. It is quite a ruckus crowd out here this evening. Again, no real signs of letting up. We have had some people leave the party, but nowhere near 7,000 people leaving. I would say it's a safe bet that maybe 500 or so have gone home for the night, but the rest are here to stay.
Gosh, Mary, I'm amazed. I mean, not a break in sight, really.
I'm sorry, Loretta?
Not a break in sight. The crowd's not letting up at all.
Not at all. They have, like I said, they've been chanting nonstop for the last 2 hours. Go Big Red. Thanks, Tom. We're number one. I've heard it all here tonight.
Okay, and we'll be hearing more tomorrow.
I think you're
Mary.
right.
We'll be right back. Well, you've seen the crowds out there at 72nd and Dodge tonight, and crazy as it all seems out there, a lot of it is a tribute to a coach, his final game in 25 years. It was back in 1962 that a young man from Hastings, Nebraska joined Bob Devaney's coaching staff as a graduate assistant. Tom Osborne was just using the position to make a little extra cash, but he stuck around for nearly 40 years, putting together a career matched by few.
I've never had a day where I didn't want to go to work. I've never had a day where I was dreading dealing with this group of players that I had or the coaches, and we've had a lot of fun together.
Since 1962, going to work for Tom Osborne has been studying the X's and O's of college football.
I was trying to get through practice.
But as a young man looking for a career, football was secondary. Osborne planned on making college administrative work, research, or teaching his profession.
As the time came where I had to make a decision, I just found that I was not able to pull away from football. That I just felt that if I accepted a job in the academic world, I would miss football too much.
He was surprised by those emotions, but perhaps shouldn't have been. Football was a passion for the Hastings High School graduate. That's where he started playing football and basketball, and in 1955 was the Nebraska Prep Athlete of the Year.
He was a great high school athlete. He came from a nice family. Everybody respected him and his family. And I think he just got where he is and where he's been through sheer intensity and hard work and commitment. And he had a lot more of that than most of the rest of us did.
He had a great family. And they're the people that the genes worked off on Tom somehow.
I really loved football. And ever since I was a little kid, it's a game that has fascinated me and it's intrigued me.
Fortunately, the desire to work in a game he cherishes led to one of the greatest coaching careers in college football history. The graduate assistant became a full-time coach in 1967, succeeded a legend in Bob Devaney in 1973, and then put together a career in which he became one himself. Along the way, he won 254 games, 13 league titles, 11 bowl games, and 2 national championships. He's coached Outland, Lombardi, and Heisman Trophy winners, and numerous All-Americans.
We are losing a great coach and a great person in our profession, and it is indeed an honor to be a part of his last game.
He's had just a great career, and very few people can look back and know that they've accomplished as much or made as big an impact on college football as Tom Osborne has.
I don't think I'll think too much about individual games, but I'll remember people and remember a lot of the emotions, a lot of the affection that I had for players, and I think that will be the most memorable thing for me is just the relationships with coaches and players.
You know, Coach Osborne has said all along about this last game and his decision to resign, not retire, as his wife says, that he thought it would all sink in and sink in much later. Right now, we want to check in with Mary Williams. She's at 72nd and Dodge. Kind of a crazy crowd out there. Actually, that's an understatement. We'll check in and see what's happening. Mary? And Dodge and let our crews regroup there and get back. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Well, when you see the crowd out at 72nd and Dodge, makes you wonder what Lincoln will be like tomorrow when the Huskers come back as champs of the Orange Bowl. Let's check in now with Mary Williams. And now we're going to go into Miami right now and find out what's going on down there. Guys?
Loretta, it'll be one long party. The party's down here. The people are going wacko, and they're going to keep on going goofy up in Lincoln once the Huskers arrive after their trip here from Miami. The folks from CBS continue to break down behind us and around us as everything's going to be packed up and taken away, and we're still on here and bringing you more coverage. And John, you had a story about Joel Makovic you want to pass along.
Yeah, when Coach Osborne had a celebration over here, when CBS was having the coverage with Michelle Tafoya, Joel was down by the stage looking up at Coach, had misty eyes. He turns and starts walking off. I walk up to him. Here's a guy that could barely walk, folks. He could barely walk. I walked with him. It took us about 5 minutes to go from one corner of the end zone over to here, which is the 50-yard line. He could barely move, and he played almost every snap from the middle of the first quarter on. He re-injured his hamstring. He told me he was not going to leave the field because of Coach Osborne. He wanted to make sure he went out on top. He's a huge factor in that offense, making those blocks and the cutbacks and the fullback traps. That's a guy right there that tells you the determination and love for Coach Osborne. They were not going to give up until they got the victory, and they did just that.
I'm sorry, Johnny.
They were going to give it all tonight.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
This game was a blowout in the fourth quarter, and they were still going after, Peyton Manning, the whole Tennessee team. This team wanted to look good tonight, and they did it.
We saw Joel early too. I believe after the first series he re-injured. We saw him trying to get loose along the sidelines. Young man, a walk-on, learned a lot from his brother. We did the story earlier in the week about the relationship that he has with Jeff, and those two kids have meant a lot to the program. And the Makovic's coming down here, starting both of the kids starting a fullback for the Huskers.
And the folks out there that have ever had their hamstring injured, no matter what you're doing at home, it goes from the top of your rear end all the way down to your kneecap. You cannot fully extend your knee at all, and yet he was in the field doing just that, making blocks, making runs. Quite an impressive young man. In fact, we talked to Makovic's all week long. I had conversations daily with his dad, giving him updates on the injury report. And folks, there's two little Makovic's about this big waiting to come up in the wings. Two young guys about 12 to 14. In about 6 years, you're going to see them in the University of Nebraska.
It's that water at the Makovic house at Tap or something. They keep on producing fullbacks for the Huskers.
You know, if you want to be a high school recruit, go out to Brainerd, drink some water, you end up in Nebraska as an all-star fullback.
The Makovic, boy, they're certainly doing it for the Huskers, that's for sure.
You betcha.
I got to tell you, a couple weeks ago in Lincoln when I was there, Joel was talking about that. He had talked to a couple former players, and they're like, you guys are so lucky. We would do anything to play in this game tonight for Coach Osborne. I mean, even former players are thinking about that and just wanting to be out here tonight.
A lot of former players were here. A lot of them, Kevin Steele came back, the former linebacker coach, who's now at the Carolina Panthers. He was in the locker room hugging. I saw a very poignant moment. Coach Osborne, Coach Solich, and Coach Steele, three good friends, all hugging in the locker room about an hour ago, congratulating each other. They're still, once you're a Husker, you're always a Husker. You're always a part of that family. And it's the family atmosphere, both from players and coaches, that make this program so special.
Guys, remember when T.O. resigned and we were getting reaction from all across the country from guys like Neil Smith, some of the guys that are in the NFL now, and boy, they didn't hesitate at all in commenting on T.O. and what he's meant to them. And it all comes back to, boy, he was like a father to me. He was a father I didn't have, or he was another father for me, and he's meant a lot to me.
The guys even that didn't start, the third, fourth, ninth teamers, like somebody I know, it was a privilege to play for the coach. I mean, these guys are all saying it for a man. They may not have gotten the playing time. They may have thought they should deserve a start, but almost all of them to a man say what kind of gentleman he was. He wins with class. He wins with honor. He's always truthful. If you're sixth team, you get the same answer you would as a first stringer. Rules are rules. You play by his game, and his game is class. His game is winning.
I thought one of the best sound bites, or one of the best comments, I should say, from a player after the coach announced his resignation was from Joel Makovic, who said, Coach, maybe you weren't able to give all your time to your children as you would have liked during your coaching career, but you have been a father to literally hundreds of kids at Nebraska.
Right. That's quite a testament.
Yeah. Scott Frost even saying he made us men first, and that also.
That's right.
Respect.
Those are tremendous comments from some very classy people. Back to the Big O to see what's going on. Loretta?
Hey, Rich, Craig James from CBS. He kind of surprised me tonight. He said on national television that he was going to vote Nebraska #1, thought that some others would do the same, and that they at least deserved a share of the national championship, and he didn't mince any words about it.
And that doesn't hurt either. Hopefully a lot of voters were watching the game when they hear a guy like a Craig James, a gentleman that I believe a lot of people have a lot of respect for. The guy played in the NFL. He played for the Ponies down at SMU, and I believe people have respect for that gentleman, and hopefully that's able to swing some votes towards the Huskers.
And even give Craig James some credit, because he told us on Channel 3 this week that this would be at least a 21-point game.
Yeah, he was right.
He knows what he's talking about, because he knew it.
Also, I guess a lot of times today, ESPN was getting the bandwagon saying, hey, how can you deny Nebraska at least a share of the title? Michigan's a great team, so are the Huskers. how can you have one number 1 and the other one number 2? Why not have co-champs? You had it with Washington and Colorado. You had Georgia Tech co-champs. Why not do that? Two deserving teams, two teams that could not face each other. It's not either one of their program's fault. Let's have 2 national championships.
All right, gentlemen, back to the Big O, I believe, and we'll have more. Loretta?
Absolutely. We're going to check in now with Mary Williams back out at 72nd and Dodge, where the diehards are celebrating a Husker win. Mary?
Loretta, I know it is hard to believe, but some people are actually going home. Let's take a look at the crowd. It has thinned out a little bit. Right now in the center of the crowd, right around 72nd and Dodge, it looks like a fight, but believe me, it is not. It's something they call slam dancing or a mosh pit, and the kids do it on a regular basis. You can get hurt. I have to give you an update now on some of the injuries we told you about earlier. We talked about a young man who was brought to the hospital with a back injury. I talked to paramedics just a few minutes ago. They said it is not a serious injury. There have also been several other injuries from people getting hit in the head with bottles. Again, they tell me they are minor injuries. Talked to 911 just a few minutes ago. They said there have been several arrests out here tonight. They cannot tell us at this point what for. Again, the crowd going strong. They are hoping that the writers out there and the journalists out there vote their team number 1. Loretta?
Mary, I'd be really surprised if they didn't hear him, you know? The volume has stayed up there pretty consistently.
Let me put it to you this way. I'm having a tough time hearing you right now. Tomorrow morning, I'm not going to be able to hear anybody.
Mary, we're glad you're on top of that truck, by the way.
Pardon me?
We're glad you're on top of that truck and not down in the crowd.
We are tethered to the truck right now. We're not going anywhere.
A good place to be. Okay, thanks, Mary. Well, we've been talking about Coach Osborne. We forget that Frank Solich, this is really quite the big night for him. He has waited for 19 years for a moment that came tonight. The man who groomed him for the job retires as the Orange Bowl ends, and Solich now has his chance to go full circle.
There probably isn't a whole lot going to change. One guy's moving out, but in terms of the overall program, in terms of stability, in terms of our ability to get the job done, not much is going to change.
And with that, the baton will change hands after the Orange Bowl. It belongs to this man, Frank Solich.
I don't know that you replace Tom Osborne as much as you follow him.
Although born in Pennsylvania and raised in Cleveland, Frank considers himself a Nebraskan after some 35 years as a Husker.
Love the state. The people have been tremendous. Have had a chance to raise my family right here. You know, to me, this is home. And so it is all fallen in place for me in terms of my career here as a player and then also really my career as a coach.
Frank started his association with Nebraska football thanks to Bob Devaney. Bob recruited Solich as a fullback out of Cleveland in 1962. 3 seasons later, he was captain of the 1965 Huskers and still holds the Orange Bowl record for return yards, all while weighing in a bruising 160 pounds.
My size was probably the most difficult thing at that spot. You know, I ended up with a hairline fracture in my ankle my sophomore year. After my junior year, I had shoulder surgery. After my senior year, I had knee surgery. So I didn't get through unscathed, but yet on the other side of it, you know, I had a chance to be on some great teams, play with some great athletes, and be part of building Nebraska's program.
Frank's competitive nature as a player enables him to be just as good a coach. After 2 years at Holy Name High School in Omaha, then 12 years at Lincoln Southeast, Coach Solich landed at Nebraska as the head freshman coach in 1979. After 4 years, he moved to the running back spot, where he tutored some of the best backs in all of college football, with names such as Craig, Rozier, Phillips, and Green. In fact, since Frank has guided the running backs, Nebraska has led the entire nation in rushing 9 times. Now, despite taking over as assistant head coach in 1990, and now head coach starting on January 3rd, Coach Solich still loves the game, which has been part of his life since childhood.
Well, football to me has always been special. You know, I don't ever remember a time when I wasn't involved in football, from growing up, playing it to coaching it, and I think right now, you know, that the competitiveness of the sport, I think, is tremendous, and I enjoyed that as much as anything. As far as coaching is concerned, I really enjoy being around young people, the excitement of the games, the work and the commitment that goes into becoming a good football player, becoming a good football team. I enjoy being a part of that all. And so I hope to be able to be a part of that kind of atmosphere for a long, long time.
And so the Solich years begin. We'll be back with some final thoughts in just a minute. We're going back to Miami one last time, where now everyone looks ahead and says they won the game, so what's it mean? And that's going to take a couple days to sort out, isn't it?
Well, hopefully the voters will do the right thing, and we've said this for about the last hour and a half now, and they've got to vote Nebraska a share of that national championship. At least I would think they take the number 3 team in the nation. They give them a good old whooping behind the barn, as Johnny said a while back, and they should stake claim to that number 1 national championship, piece of it anyway.
I know a lot of the guys in the press box were talking. I think there were 5 voters up there that we counted. It's kind of an unofficial. A majority of the 5 said they were going to give a split national championship to Nebraska. Whether or not, once they get it on paper back at the office or in their computer, whether they do that. But a really convincing win for the Huskers versus the number 3 team in the nation. I think it's more likely the coaches will give it to Coach Osborne, simply because they know how hard it is to go 13-0. They know how hard it is to come down south here at the Orange Bowl with all the Vols fans around and win down here. And I think because they did that, it's not a sympathy vote, mind you. I think that's a very misnomer by the media saying it'll be a sympathy vote for the coach. This team's 13-0. It doesn't need sympathy. Yeah. It won perhaps, one of the best national championships on the field where it counts here tonight.
Yeah. Let's look ahead.
Yes.
Hopefully this year or next year we won't have this problem, because the alliance becomes a super alliance when the Big Ten, which Michigan is in, they're a part of this. So hopefully we won't have to go through a mess like this again.
Yeah, the only time that perhaps you might have that is if you have 3 teams that go undefeated in a season. Then what the heck do you do? The number 3 team is left out. And they need a playoff system. That's what the bottom line is. The best we have right now is this Super Alliance, which will go into effect next year. But obviously Nebraska needs a share of that national championship. It just would be an injustice if they didn't.
I think the playoff system is going to come into existence for one reason, because of bucks. When the cash is there, then it's going to be viable. The bowl system is great. It brings the fans in. But once the cash starts talking, that's when you're going to see a playoff system. They're going to try to do it in a format of maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks in December, try to get it in before the playoffs start for the NFL, at least the Super Bowl. So it's just a matter of time when they do it. It's up to athletic directors and presidents.
It's just a natural for college football, too. They do it in every single Division 1, 2, and 3 sport in the nation, with the exception of Division 1A college football.
Right, that's because the bowl system makes so much money for each team. Each team can have a piece of a lot of a pie, plus you get the satisfaction of winning a bowl game and saying you're a champion of that game. But when money talks louder than the satisfaction of a bowl win, you're going to see some kind of playoff system in college football.
One thing I've noticed over just the last couple days, Nebraska players keep saying, we want to play Michigan now. Last night I didn't hear any Wolverines saying, we want to play Nebraska.
That's right.
They want it, and Michigan's had a great season. They play in a tough conference in that, but it's just ironic that the Wolverines aren't talking about, let's play on the field.
No, it's been, we've earned it, it's ours, and let's go home. And the Huskers are saying, hey, let's play, let's go at it, boys, let's play the game.
It'll be interesting to see what the Tennessee fans, or Tennessee players, I should say, if they talk to Michigan, what they'd say, hey guys, you don't want to take on that offensive line. You don't want to go up against Wistrom and Peter, because they'll chew you up and spit you out. And that's exactly what they do. People talk about Nebraska's flash, about the option, about the magic hit in the corner. That's not where it's won. It's won in the trenches with guys that are strong and fast. I was looking at Chad Kelsey's arm. His bicep is bigger than my thigh.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Huge.
Yeah, he is. And you're right, and everything starts with that offensive line. They clear the way. That allows Amon Green to be effective, allows Scott Frost to run that option so well as he has done this last year. And at times when he needs to drop back and throw, of course, he has the time to throw as well. It all starts with the offensive line.
It sure does. The couple of long runs Amon had tonight on the option, he wasn't touched going through the offensive line. He was not touched. It's easy to be a great back when you got the big uglies up front smashing people away from you. He had a lot of yards tonight where there was no contact at all until he was finally brought down.
We got 2 polls. We've got the AP poll. That's the writers. Mainly the writers. There are some broadcasters in there. In fact, I tried to grab Lee Barfnick tonight and ask Lee, Lee, can you go on live? He said, well, I got a job to do. Obviously, we understood that. But Lee has a vote. He voted Michigan before in the final regular season poll. I talked to him yesterday. I said, hey, Lee, 21-16 victory for Michigan. What if the Huskers go out and spank Tennessee? I said, what do you do? Kind of rolled his eyes. Said, geez, I don't know. So there's one voter wavering a little bit, and hopefully some other guys are wavering as well.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot of that tonight, because if this comes out and was a close game, then you look at it, okay, Michigan's #1, we'll keep them there.
Right.
But I tell you, Nebraska, this was a very good Tennessee team. They rolled to their first SEC title, losing only to Florida at the Swamp, which is a very tough place to win. So, I mean, Tennessee's ranked 3rd in the country. That's deserving. Maybe Florida State moves up. But, you know, Nebraska beat a very quality team tonight, and they beat them bad.
Yeah.
When you look at the AP poll, there's a sense of a good old boy system there. You go with tradition, you go with the rules that have been set up for the past 20, 30 years. The rule that everybody's talking about tonight is, well, you don't downgrade a team for winning a bowl game. If they're #1, they win the bowl game, they should be #1. Who's to say that Nebraska can't have a share of that national championship? Don't downgrade Michigan as much as you upgrade Nebraska. That kind of thinking, that kind of logic, you really can't use anymore. You've got to go after who you think would be the champion if there's a battle between Nebraska and Michigan. If both teams played on a neutral field on artificial turf, who do you think would win?
Yeah,
I guarantee you the Huskers would win that game.
I don't think there'd be any doubt that the Huskers would take care of that game. Let's go back up to Omaha now and for more with Loretta.
Hey, you guys have done a great job. You're just like the Huskers. Tons of endurance and a solid game plan.
We're wearing them down.
Yeah, hard work out there. And now we're going to check in, speaking of endurance, with Mary Williams. She's at 72nd and Dodge, and last time we checked in, there were at least a few people going home. How about now, Mary?
I tell you what, Loretta, there's still no getting around, but take a look at the crowd now. Remember we told you about an hour ago there were 7,500 people here? My guess is we're looking at maybe a couple of thousand at best. People are going home. Those that are here, though, are still causing a little bit of trouble. Setting off some fireworks. Police just made an arrest just moments ago. A young man was just carted off just a few minutes ago. The Horse Patrol, I would say within the last 5 minutes, ended up in the middle of that crowd. We're not sure why they were there. We think it has something to do with the dance that they were doing, something like a mosh pit that looked like a fight. They moved in to break it up, and they are now on the side of the street trying to keep an eye on things. Again, police officers still here, helicopters still above, and the fans are still here. Loretta?
Absolutely, Mary. Mary, they've never really called in extra numbers in terms of police, have they? It stayed pretty consistent from the beginning, hasn't it?
From what we can tell, they have not called in extra officers. But as you look around, I mean, there are quite a few officers stationed at the intersections, but you look inside the crowd, you do not see a lot of police officers. That's because they are in plain clothes. They are mingling with the crowd, trying to keep things peaceful as can be, I should say. Loretta?
Okay, Mary, we may be checking back should things change out there. Thanks very much.
All right.
Now, tonight's game is the last time that Nebraska fans will see Coach Tom Osborne on the sidelines. And for all those fans, lots of us tonight saying thanks for the memories. Now, if you're still with us, you're probably wondering if Coach Osborne is going to go out with yet another national championship. We are wondering exactly the same thing. The latest information that we have is that the AP poll, that's the writers' poll, is due to come in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. We are watching for that closely. We're going to take a break, and we'll let you know what's happening when we come back. Our Operation Orange Bowl coverage continues, and again, if you're just joining us, we are told that the AP Writers Poll is due to come in just a few minutes. We're watching for that for you. This will be our first indication of whether the Huskers possibly could have a share of a national championship. We'll let you know as soon as we have any information. Now, we heard from Nancy Osborne a little earlier talking to Rich Roberts and John Anderson. This game, of course, was her last game as well. She has been there just season after season and game after game, and you probably didn't see much of her, and because that's exactly the way she wanted it.
It's not a sad feeling. We've still got a game to win.
Win or lose, Nancy Osborne has seen it all, and being a coach's wife means you do it all. For 25 years, she's done it all.
You get used to doing everything and being very independent in order to make things work while they're gone. Then they come in off the road and you say, well, what are you?
Nancy and the coach have talked about the last game for a couple of years, but knew at the start of this season it would be the last. It's time to catch up.
I don't know that you ever make up for lost time. I don't think you ever can completely do that. But maybe over the next few years, a few things will occur that can make up for some of the times that we didn't have together that maybe should have happened.
Back in 1995, Nancy and Tom Osborne received Boys Town's Father Flanagan Award for their work to help young people. She hopes to do more of that and leaves the wife of the new coach just a few words of wisdom.
The major difference is just the publicness of your life. I mean, you become a public family, and so that changes a lot of things. My advice to her has been that you just have to be a little flaky to make it.
Nancy Osborne's flaky moments were definitely in private. We'll check in now with the guys in Miami. Of course, they talked to Nancy Osborne a little earlier tonight. You know, when she talks about what's happening, she seems just so relaxed and happy about the whole thing. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, she really is a classy lady, and we asked her tonight if she was going to go fishing with the coach, because that's what the coach has been talking about, and she said no.
I guess she doesn't have a fishing pole there, no. Maybe she'll have to get one.
That's right. You know, we're still out here. We're waiting for the results of the AP poll. I just hope the Pro Player Stadium has paid its electric bill, because we're keeping them up tonight. But it should come out. We've been told that it could come out in the next few moments, the AP poll, and we will find out who is the real #1.
Exactly, and it seems more likely that the coaches would vote Nebraska #1, but you're going to see some writers, at least the ones that bowed to